In this lesson, we learn about variables and how they're used. Variables are a place for a computer program to store data temporarily while it's doing other operations. When we ask a user for input, we usually store that input in a variable until we're ready to use it. Data that's stored in a variable can be used many different times, and it can also be changed later on by the program. In Scratch, it automatically creates a variable called myVariable. So if we look at the variables category down here, you can see you've got something called myVariable. But you can also create more variables if you want to. In our unit on patterning and linear relationships, we learned about coefficients and constants being used in linear equations. Let's go ahead and create two variables with those names. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on Make a Variable, and I'm going to give it the name coefficient, and click Enter, or press Enter, or click OK. And you can see now it shows up. I've got a new variable called coefficient. I'm going to make a second one, and this one I'm going to call constant. And you can see it's now added constant there. Because it's got the check marks beside it, that means it shows up in our Scratch window along with the Scratch Cat. If we unclick those boxes, then those variables disappear, but I'll leave them turned on for now. When my program starts, one of the first things that I want to do is to set both of those variables to be equal to something. So I'm going to set them both equal to 0. So I'm going to drag out the set block twice. And the first one is set coefficient to 0, so that's fine. And then the second one, I just click the drop-down list, and I can change it to now to set the constant equal to 0. So now all my program's doing is it's starting up, and it's effectively creating two variables and setting them both equal to 0. If I want to check that those variables are actually set to 0, I could have my Scratch Cat say one of the variable names. So I'm going to ask the Scratch Cat, rather than saying hello, I'm going to drag out the variable coefficient bubble and drop it in there. Now if I run my program, the Scratch Cat says 0, because that's what I've asked it to do. So you can see now all we've done here in this program is to create a couple of new variables and set them to a particular value, and then we ask the Scratch Cat to say one of those values.